Hello, this is Grace chatting, and I'm the founder of Relationship Academy, where we teach you lessons that they didn't teach you at school. And today's lesson is about personal values. Now, we've been looking at the importance of getting to know the messages and the rules that you picked up when you were young, and the beliefs that you formed about yourself as a result of all of that, and the importance of becoming self-aware generally, and getting to know yourself. And so one of the aspects of getting to know yourself and raising your self-awareness is to know what your personal values are. Now, we talked about in the other videos, we talked about the importance of building relational intelligence, and that relational intelligence is actually a combination of emotional intelligence and social intelligence, and if you put those together, then that gives you relational intelligence. And the bedrock of all of these is self-awareness. So, like I say, an aspect of self-awareness is being aware and knowing what your core values are. So, and not only to know what your core values are, but what's the relevance of that in terms of your relationship. So whether you're single and you're not in a relationship yet, or you're already in a relationship, it still makes a difference to know what your core values are, and then to become aware of what your partner's core values are. So, when you meet somebody, it's all very well meeting somebody who shares interests with you, like, shared activities and hobbies and taste in food and all of those things. It's really nice, and it makes things, it's very companionable and harmonious to be around somebody who likes to do what you like to do and enjoys the same things that you enjoy. So, that's really nice, and it's easy then to think that, oh gosh, this is the right person for me. But there are lots of people who have good long-term and solid relationships who actually have diverse interests, but the thing that holds them together is that they have shared values. There's lots of people who had shared interests who find as time goes on that they don't have shared values, and so that's when things start to come unstuck. So what is a personal value? Well, personal value is something that gives you, it's your kind of inner principle for going through the world, for making decisions. It's things like trust, honesty, loyalty, those things and integrity, those things may be important to you. You can see from all my books here that a high value of mine is learning. Learning is very important to me, and teaching is very important to me. So anybody that I'm in a relationship with, like my relationship with Alan, my husband, he loves to read. My first husband didn't have an interest in reading, and it wasn't so much the activity of reading, but he didn't value learning as I do. And so, there was a little bit of a gap there. So it's important for us to know what our personal values are. But also we have cultural values. People from different cultures, there's things about, for example, I'm Irish, and those of you who are listening who've been to Ireland, you'll know that one of the cultural values in Ireland is hospitality. People are very hospitable and value hospitality. For example, if anybody comes into my house, they've only got to be in through the door for a minute or two, and they will be offered a cup of tea or something, something to drink. If I was in Ireland, I would be offering them not just a cup of tea, but I'd be offering them some food as well. So that's an important value to me. So whoever you hook up with, if they are from a different culture to you, it's useful to find out what are the little, cultural customs that they value, that spring from a value. It's a value from their culture. So if you do have shared values and shared interests, there's a high chance of your relationship being successful. But just interests on their own won't make it successful, because what happens when you if you marry and you set up home, when it comes to making decisions about where you're going to live, whether you're going to have children, parenting styles, all of those kind of decisions are driven by your values and what matters to you. For example, if you really had a yen to go live in New York and you were from the UK, but you were with a partner who's had a high value of family, they might not want to go live anywhere else, but you might have always thought you've got a high value for perhaps travel. So your partner thought it was just about holidaying. You can come unstuck if you don't know your core values before you get into a relationship and see that they fit with your partner. So they are fundamental beliefs that you formed when you were young, and like I say, they are formed from the messages and rules that you were downloading. Before you were 5 years old, whatever's going on around you, it's like little children are in a hypnagogic state, and they just download indiscriminately, because they haven't got the cognitive development to filter out what suits or what doesn't suit, and also they just take it in. And so, did you ever wonder why all a bunch of you kids that were all in the same class together, and you all grow up and you all have quite different lives? Now, you might have had some shared cultural values from your community, but from each of your families and your extended families, you will have had different conditioning, and therefore have formed different values and different sense of what's right and what's wrong. So from your culture, your community, your school, your religion, your peer group, that you form values. So, and these are really important in your relationship, because each of us is constantly making decisions where we'll be presented with life decisions throughout our lives. So when you're making a decision about something feels either right or it's wrong. Now, if you stop to think about what is it that's underlying why it feels right or wrong, because somebody else could make a different decision and it would feel okay for them. But the difference is that you've got different values. And if you've got a couple where something feels right to one person and it doesn't feel okay to the other, that's because they've got different values. For example, if you were going out with somebody and honesty was a high value of yours, but this other person didn't mind telling little white lies about what they'd been doing or where they'd been, or just generally they used little white lies to make excuses for things. Now, that might not sit comfortably with you, but for them, the honesty may not be a high value for them. So, it tells you something about people. So the other thing about our core values is that they can change over time. The values that we hold as young people, as young adults, probably wouldn't be, well, many of them wouldn't be the same as when you'd be in your 30s or 40s, because as you grow and learn and develop, you've got more information available, and your perspective and your perceptions change, so you kind of alter what you think and feel and believe about things. But ideally, as you become more conscious and more self-aware, then of course you would re-examine your values. But if as a young person you cared about animals, if animal rights was a high value of yours, it may well be that when you're an older person, you may choose to be vegetarian, for example. So that value would still feed into your choices and decisions that you would make. So it's useful to bear in mind that they may alter and switch and change a bit. So sometimes people meet somebody else who's has different values. For example, a typical example would be people from different religions who fall in love. I came from, you might have know from my accent, I come from Belfast, and growing up in Belfast, it wasn't unusual for a Catholic and a Protestant to fall in love with each other. And they would be faced with the dilemma, because both of their religion was a high value, and religious beliefs was a high value in Belfast. So if a Catholic was going to marry a Protestant, it was a big deal. And I don't think it's quite such a big deal now as it was before, but it's an issue. And usually one person would, if they wanted to carry on with their religion or fitting in with their potential partner's family, they would maybe change religion. Now, that can be a compromise, which is okay, but it may not really be authentic. So there can be conflicts of values, and people do find ways around them, but that one is quite an explicit one. But there's something about authenticity here, and somebody else might not be able to do that, because they would say, well, I was just doing it just to please you, it's not real. So many people are not very clear, most people are not clear about what their values are or what their partner's values are. So I would suggest to you that you decide now to get clear about it, because it really is important. So you'll find that underneath this video is a download of various values. There's lots on there, but it's not an exhaustive list. So if you take the list, and if there's any that are not on the list that you're aware of, then by all means, put them on. But take the list and pick out 10 values out of all the values that are on there. Pick out 10 that matter to you. And then once you've got the 10, write them down. And once you've got them, then look at the 10 that you've chosen and then boil that down to 5. And then if you like, because it becomes difficult then to choose between which are the most important. So now we're getting down to how you find your core values, and not just values and secondary values, but how do you get down to your core values. So then boil it down to 3, the top 3 values for you. And then my suggestion is that you write it on a little card, maybe the back of a business card or something that you can fit in your wallet or your purse and you can carry around. And then when you're faced with any decision, either a couple decision or a decision about changing work or jobs, or engaging in any partnership, even if it's a work-related partnership with somebody else, look at your values and think, will this fit with my values, this decision that I'm about to make? Because often people make choices based on their interests, or because it's a good opportunity, and then they find subsequently that it clashes with their core values. But definitely in relationships, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you need to know their core values and you need to know your core values, and you both need to have a conversation about it with each other, so that there's an agreement that you will honour each other's core values. So that's all for now, and I hope you find that useful, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Thanks for listening. Bye now.